So Sam, you better tell us first, what was the atmosphere like out there?
Yeah, it was awesome. I must admit, yesterday at Captain's Run, we drove up to the stadium and we all thought, this is going to be awesome. How big the car park was, and we weren't disappointed. We got probably 500 metres from the stadium. You could just see all the trucks out there having barbecues, and the atmosphere was pumping outside the stadium. And when we got in here, it was pretty awesome. It was one of those ones as a player, pretty cool to be a part of.
And nice for Kiwis who haven't been able to see much New Zealand sort of action for a while or come home for a bit to be able to see you guys playing so close to them as well.
Yeah, it was amazing how many All Black jerseys and Super Rugby jerseys we saw in the stands tonight. And it's pretty cool too. There was also some other countries, so people obviously put on their colours and were representing who they wanted to, but cool to see the Kiwi fans there.
Your first game for a while, how did you fare out there? How do you feel?
Yeah, I must admit, at different times I was blind a little bit, but always expected that. So yeah, felt really good out there, enjoyed it, and we've liked a little bit longer, but sometimes the boss just pulls you when he pulls you, you've got nothing to do about it.
Yep, in the middle.
Martin Pengelly from The Guardian. Question for both. What use will you take from that game as far as preparation for the games in Europe to come?
I take it, it's an immense use to us. We've had, we were kind of probably describe it as a tour like no other for the All Blacks. It's going to be about a 12-week tour, 5 tests back in Southern Hemisphere, 2 weeks that we couldn't go home, and now we've got 5 weeks in the Northern Hemisphere. So this game was vital for us in terms of we've got a number of players who haven't played for 3 to 4 weeks, and it's a great chance to have a really good hit out, and to do it in a special stadium and on a special occasion, I think it's pretty valuable for us. And so we go to Wales next week, and I think we had a bit of contact under our belt. We're really delighted with some of the skill stuff that we were able to put on the park, and gives us a good launching pad for what's going to be a big month.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, pretty much just going to replicate the words there. I'm one of those players that hasn't played a lot over the last couple of months, and kind of felt like I was off a little bit, but then I felt the team kind of came together, played pretty well there at times, and it's always nice when you're kind of getting those combinations again with different personnel, obviously myself in the lineup with the hooker, the 9 with delivery, 10 calling the game, so really valuable for myself to be out here tonight.
As far as the Eagles go, what were the biggest, if not problems, biggest challenges that you thought they presented?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for the Eagles is, is trying to have access to their top team when you're sitting outside the window game. It's not easy for them to attract, all their best players, because some of them are tied up in European clubs, and yet flip side of it is that, if you think about them as a group, the chance to play a big game in their home country in an iconic stadium, it's a very special occasion for them, and I know that they'll be pretty made of the scoreline, but in order for them to grow, these sort of games are probably really important for them just to broaden their experience, and they'll get a feel of what it's like at I guess the next level, and hopefully that inspires them to go and work a little bit harder and grow their game, because the only way you do that is by exposing yourself to these sort of occasions.
Hannah?
And the Eagles coach is describing this as devastating. Did you think the scoreline the final score would be reflected in such a huge number?
No, I didn't. But you never do know when the whistle blows. But and I can't speak on behalf of Garrett, and I know they'll be disappointed with the scoreline, but it's like I said, it's another experience for them. And reality is that I think they were a little bit shell shocked early in the first 5 minutes, and it took them a while to actually figure out that they could play against us. And I thought that third quarter they showed a lot more of what they can do, but you also got to weigh on the fact they're playing, like I said, in front of a bigger crowd than they normally do, in front of a big stadium, and it's a real growth point for them. So I know they'll be disappointed, but if they use that well, it could be a bit of a launching pad for things to come.
Yep, in the middle.
Doug Coyle, DJ Coyle Rugby. Late in the game, the U.S. Put some pressure on the All Blacks from their lineouts. Didn't work out for the U.S. in most cases. But how important was that for the All Blacks to really challenge the U.S. with their defense?
Yeah, I think you're half right there. They did put pressure on us through their line out. I'm not sure exactly the stats, but they won a lot of their ball cleanly, and that's how they put pressure on us. They won their own ball, kept the ball, and then all of a sudden we started giving away penalties, and then USA scored a good try in the second half from it. So that's something that for us we need to address, but for USA that was actually a real strength of theirs. And as Fozzie said, when they settled down into the game in that third quarter, they did challenge us.
Yep.
Katavan for France 24. When you have such a big score line, besides what you were talking about earlier about the fact that some players are getting some time to play that they haven't had, what are the things that you can take out of this game to work on ahead of that European tour?
Well, we went into the game, I guess, with some game-specific targets, and so we don't go into a game focusing on the score line. It's about the few things we wanted to work within it, and I probably won't share the details of that, but largely, we come off the Rugby Championship and we knew we didn't get the result we wanted in our last game, so there's clearly 2 or 3 things there that we wanted to work on. Now, we weren't, today's game didn't expose us under pressure to a couple of those areas, but in other areas, like I felt our handling, the quality of our passing, some of our support line work went up a step from the Rugby Championship, and pleased with that. And again, I wouldn't underestimate the importance of being able to give a number of new players. Like I think in the pack we had 6 out of the 8 players that played less than 10 tests. So for us, it's a real good experience for them to feel what it's like to be an All Black in different situations, and there's going to be plenty of different situations coming up in the next 4 weeks.
Yep, back in the middle again.
Any injury concerns coming up today? Do you want to come off?
No. Good, eh?
Thanks everyone. If we're wrapped up in the room, we'll take some calls from Zoom call. Can you hear us down New Zealand?
Yep, we can. Yep, who wants to jump in first, guys, from New Zealand?
Sorry, TV1 just fell over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will.
That's up to that.
G'day.
Go
Any
for it,
injury,
Jamie.
hi there. Any injury concerns?
I'll take it.
Oh, we just had that question, David.
Nah.
Well, I didn't hear it, sorry.
No.
All good? Sweet, thanks.
Hey, Fozzie, it's Ollie here. Just wanted to ask you about Braden Edor. Probably the first time in a while he's managed to get those consistent minutes under his belt. What did you make of his performance with, I suppose, being able to string together consistent minutes in the black jersey?
Played really well. Really delighted for him, actually. Trained well lately, and desperate for an opportunity. And I thought he played well at centre. I thought he probably played even a little bit better when he went on the wing. And he shows us that there's two positions there that he really wants to be part of. So I was pleased for him. Defended strongly, always makes good decisions defensively, and this was a game that he had a few more touches to get his attack part of his game going, and it was nice to see him start to run and distribute the way that we want him to. So he gets a big tick.
And just looking ahead to next week in Wales, I know you've sent the group over already, but based on some of the guys that got opportunities tonight and some of the performances that you saw, Fozzie, have players put their hands up potentially for selection for that match, do you think?
Yeah, I think as a group of selectors, we went into that game looking probably at 3 or 4 positions specifically, and your next question is what were they, and I'm going to say I'm not going to tell you, so don't ask it. But I was really pleased with the performance of a whole lot of the team overall, but there were some players that showed that they want to play, and that's exciting for us.
Thank you.
G'day Ian, Sam, Tom here. Ian, just during the week, a lot of players talked about sort of the necessity to, I guess, earn the right to go wide. And pretty early, you guys were able to go wide and score some good tries and stuff. But were you happy with sort of the composure and I guess that third quarter? You know, we were still seeing sort of those high risk passes and things like that, and they weren't quite coming off quite as well as early on.
Yeah, well, look, it's nice as a coach to be grumpy about a few things, isn't it? You know, and reality is a bit of looseness came into our game, particularly on broken play, where we were trying to. Looks like we've watched too much NBA during the week, and we're trying to make things up as we went along there for a while. But you know, overall, I was pretty delighted with it. You know, the atmosphere here was pretty special, and you know, you could see that as the scoreline, as a result sort of got sorted early, there was a desire to actually express themselves, and so we probably overplayed a number of situations, but I kind of get that, and overall I felt we showed enough composure, you know, after making a few errors for me to be pretty satisfied. But there's enough clips for the review to keep me excited.
Yeah, and you touched on Braden, but his combination with Quinn seemed to go quite well today. There was sort of a good balance to their styles, I guess, out there.
Yeah, they did. You know, Quinn. You know, I got asked earlier about Braden, but obviously Quinn. I thought Quinn tidied up a lot of situations, and then he showed a lot of. He knows his game very well, and he doesn't try to overplay his hand, but he sticks to what he does really, really well, and he's quite creative in that sort of space. A lot of his short passing that he draws defenders to him, and he's able to get the ball away. So he's a young man who's growing, and again, both those two I thought should be pretty proud of their effort.
Awesome, and it must have been nice to see Sam Cane and Dane back out there again for the All Blacks, getting some minutes under the belt.
Yep, yeah, I'm pleased. You know, like with the Sam here and Sam Cane, Dane Coles, it was great to see them running around and doing what they need to do, and particularly Dane and Sam Cane after a long period off with injury. So, you know, they got big smiles on their face, and now we can get them into work.
Tom, we'll give someone else a turn.
Aussie Mark here. Richie Moanga, first test start for quite some time. What did you see from him in his nearly an hour on the field?
Yeah, it went well, and you know, goal kicked well. I think he got 9 out of 12, and showed some great moments with his feet and his distribution. So pleased.
Thank you. And just a couple of your loosies, obviously, but it was a sort of a game that suited the loose forwards. But Dalton and Luke Jacobson, did they tick the right boxes for you today?
Yeah, well, it became largely a sort of a skill-based game for the loose forwards, didn't it? And I think in that area, Hoss and Luke did really, really well. You know, they showed their catch, pass, running lines, all that sort of stuff. They were really confident with, and yet when we were asked a few questions, I thought we started to see the physicality and the tackle and the clean out that we're starting with, that we want to chase. So good signs here.
Hey team, we've probably got time for one more before we, because we have to get ready to move out to the airport, and we've got players coming in.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Joe.
Yeah, Liam Napier.
Yep, we'll take
Liam Napier, you've got your hand up. We'll go with you.
Thanks. Ian, Finlay Christie, just in his maiden starts, we're impressed by him. It seemed his support lines and speed to the base enabled you to play with that pace and tempo, particularly in the first half.
Yep, he continues to grow, I think, and you know, he's fun to watch, isn't he? Because he's all arms and legs, and he's running around like a very quick fly. You know, he's buzzing around all over the place. But he's getting better and better. I think the thing that I really did enjoy about him was his defence, and you know, some of his defensive reads for a small man were excellent. So you know, again, really pleased. And I think the other one who had his first start, you know, we talked about Braden and Finlay, but Ethan the group. And you know, got an early try, which he was pretty excited about. But great to see him getting good minutes, and like I've said, he's a young man who we've been very impressed with. So delighted with him as well.
Thanks everyone. We'll wrap up there, and we'll bring some players on shortly.
Thanks everyone.